Welcome. This is D.L. Hughes from VelocityWriting.com, where you learn to write with speed, passion, purpose, and profitability. What if I told you there was a secret blueprint that almost guarantees a story will sell? No magic wand, no whispered incantations at midnight, just a sturdy, bolt-tight set of instructions built by a man who cranked out Pulp fiction so fast he set his typewriter on fire. His name, Lester Dent. His master fiction plot wasn't just an idea, it was and is a powerful tool. His techniques are the foundation of every successful action story and action movie that we have today. I'm going to put a microscope on his formula, prying open the working parts and showing how you can use it to keep readers' eyes glued to your stories. Not just any stories, tales that hum with suspense, tumble with action, and leave readers breathless for more. Stay with me. This isn't theory. It's a toolkit that you can apply to all types of fiction, even romance. It's coming up now. If you get benefit from our time together, please like, share, and subscribe. Click the bell to get notifications about my newest videos. Leave a comment. I read and respond to almost all of them. In the next few minutes, we're going to learn about an amazing writing formula and the man behind it. Writing is often painted as this hazy act of genius where inspiration floats down like glitter at an Elton John concert. But no, for most of us, building a story is closer to assembling an uncooperative IKEA bookshelf, parts scattered, instructions missing, and one critical screw just gone. Lester Dent understood that frustration and answered it with his master fiction plot. This is a hands-on method that doesn't strangle creativity, but gives any story a strong foundation. Lester Dent was a freelance writer back in the Great Depression of the 1930s, when selling a story meant the difference between eating or going hungry. He sold all of his work to the pulp fiction magazines of the era, which were a form of entertainment as popular as TV shows are today. Dent captured the secret of writing fast-paced stories that held reader attention, and as a result, he lived well. Here's how he did it. The 4 difference principle. Dent realized that stories often followed similar patterns. These patterns are predictable and often boring to readers. Dent said writers needed to do some planning to capture and retain reader interest. Plan your story so it includes as many of these unique approaches as possible. I know many writers won't have a murder, but use the principle for some other odd and interesting, inciting incident. A different murder method. Readers know the usual tricks: gunshots, stabbings, slow poisons. Dent suggests blending reality just enough to keep readers leaning forward. Maybe it's mosquito-delivered germs or scorpions tucked inside letters. Keep it believable enough to ground the scene, but strange enough to jolt curiosity awake. Think about a cozy mystery where victims are found sitting peacefully with a painted butterfly on their cheek, only to learn the butterfly is laced with paralyzing toxin. A murder method or any other inciting incident that's off the menu instantly recharges a reader's senses. Remember, murder is not always the issue. It can be any existential crisis about which people have strong emotions. What has maximum impact, like a murder, in your story? Well, that's what you're looking for. A different treasure or goal. Not every villain needs to grab cash or rubies. Maybe they're hunting for a lost music score said to cause madness when played, or a map to a hidden orchard of genetically modified apples that cure disease. Keep the object tangible, but crack it just enough from the norm to make readers lean closer. According to a piece from the Missouri Review, odd MacGuffins, items pursued for strange reasons, often power the best adventures. They are used in all fiction genres. A different locale. Dent nudges writers to pick places they know or can fake convincingly. Setting a showdown on a half-sunken oil rig or a rotting amusement park in winter lets atmosphere drip into every paragraph. You don't want to invent planets unless you do convincing homework. You want to twist a real place just a few degrees. An abandoned high school turned survival shelter, for instance, makes it vivid without dragging readers into confusion. A pervasive menace. You have no story unless you have a threatening menace. You need to know what that menace is before you start writing. The menace is the element that initiates the crisis. It's the one thing to be feared. It is what must be overcome often, time and time again during the story, before the final triumphant victory. What is the menace? Well, usually it's a person commonly known as the villain. But if you're writing sci-fi, it may be that ominous glow just beyond the glassy green mountains. If you're writing a Victorian romance, it may be a coming war that will take the lover away. If you're writing well, you get the idea. What is the overarching threat? The imposing menace that your characters must contend with. This is your backdrop for the 4-part structure coming up. Find ways to incorporate them into your story. The 4-part structure. Dent didn't just build stories, he engineered them like clockwork. We'll see why adding a twist at each part makes your story more powerful. This structure is divided into 4 1,500-word segments because most of the fiction magazines back in the day wanted 6,000-word stories. But you can adapt this and apply it to each chapter or each section of your book. First 1,500 words, trouble from the get-go. Dent demands trouble on line 1. Readers don't pay to hear about a guy sipping tea. They want him ducking bullets before his scone cools. Mystery and menace must snag readers immediately. In his famous Doc Savage series, it wasn't, someday, things got tense. It was the gun cracked and Savage dove for cover. Introduce every character in action, not in some coffee clutch. The second 1,500 words, more trouble, more mystery, pile problems higher. Dent wasn't gentle. He shoves the hero deeper into the mud. It's not enough for the villain to let him escape. He must humiliate the hero, mislead him, or trap him. Each physical conflict isn't just fist flying. It's somehow increasing the stakes through physicality or emotion. Think of it like a balloon. Each scene pumps more air. Will it burst? Third, 1,500 words. A small victory, then crushing loss. The hero gets a glimpse of hope, maybe rescues the hostage, only to find it's a trap. Suspense sharpens, momentum snowballs. Readers think, how will they get out of this? Maybe earlier it was fast, now it's racing against a deadly clock or another obstacle. In a romance novel, this could be something like the hero arriving at the church at the last minute to save his love from marrying the villain. I keep mentioning romance novels to emphasize that this action-packed story structure can be applied to any genre. You can apply it to your genre, whatever it may be. Now we have the fourth, 1,500 words, the final victory. While the difficulties don't end, there is one final, unexpected, and overwhelming challenge to the hero. The hero is able to use his own knowledge, skill, or cunning to defeat his adversary. At this point, resolve any remaining mysteries, usually the source of the conflict that has driven the story. This provides the aha resolution for the reader. And don't forget this, there should be a shocking last-minute final twist, something unexpected about a main character or the quest. What if the villain was the hero's long-lost brother? Or the $1,000,000 hoard was Confederate money? Make this final twist credible, and then conclude with a snapper or final punchline to make the reader feel good. Inject momentum and atmosphere. Dent's formula isn't just about hitting beats. It's about immersing your reader in the story. How do you keep the story's feel alive without dragging it down? Here are 3 tips for doing that. First, action, vivid and continuous. Dent preaches swift, vivid action. No dragging the hero through the scenery. If he's in a jungle, we feel the whip of low-hanging vines against his face. If he's chased through alleys, we hear the scrape of shoes on broken glass. Eliminate anything that sounds like filler. Action isn't moving bodies, it's moving the stakes, the dire consequences of failure. Atmosphere. Engage the 5 senses. Dent knew if you make readers hear the buzz of cicadas, smell the stickiness of tropical air, then you've anchored them. Neuroscientists agree sensory words light up brain activity more than abstract ones. Surprise and minor mysteries. Dent advised tossing minor surprises to keep nibbling away at the reader's curiosity. It's not enough to have a door creak. Go ahead and have the door creak open, but it's just the wind. Or is it? Mislead gently. Twist reality just enough. Readers love chasing shadows when it feels like the ground might just drop away. Put action into your story. If you want Dent's method to fire on all cylinders for you, here's where to start. Plan for action and intrigue. Brainstorm the different elements I mentioned before writing. Spend 30 minutes making lists, different kinds of crises, murder methods, treasures, settings. You get the idea. Pick 2 that feel unusual but believable. Mix and match until you feel a spark. Apply this template to your story regardless of genre. Build a 4-part skeleton before writing. Sketch your story in 4 different chunks. Each quarter should end with a twist that yanks the story somewhere unexpected. You'll write faster and your readers will feel the rising tension without even knowing why. Focus scenes through action and sensory details. Before writing any scene, ask, what does the hero want right now? What's blocking it? And then layer the sentences. The sound of a ticking bomb or the greasy smell of betrayal. And keep the movement sharp. Get Dent's tools into your hands. Build the stories readers can't put down. Have a great writing day.